Hello guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in this video we are going to continue with our Node.js and Flutter series. So we are going to continue with our crud application, right? So in this video we are going to get products from a RESTful API, right? And then that's the read, and then we are going to upload products to the API, that's the create, and then we are going to update the products, and then we are also going to delete the products from the API, as you can see from here. And then also we are going to use the refresh indicator to refresh the data from the API, right? So without wasting much of the time, let's get into the code and let's start building the application, right? So now inside our repository folder, right, what we need is we need to create a file called product repository. So let's create a class called product repository. Okay, so now what we need is we need to import the HTTP package, right? We need to import the HTTP package because we are going to be using this package to make like a request to our server, right? And then the other thing that we need to do is we need to initialize this HTTP package, right? So we need to initialize an HTTP client. And then we are going to attach this initialized HTTP client to our constructor, right? And then we need to set our client to the client that we initialized, right? So now the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to create the method for uploading like our products into our API, right? Making like a post request to our API, right? So it's going to be a future, and then we are going to use the fp.dat package, right, to have either, since we are going to handle if there is a failure when uploading our products to the API, and then if it's a success, what we want to return is we want to return the product model, right? The product model. So I forgot, we need to create the product model first, right? So to create the product model, what we simply need to do is go into our models folder, right? And then create a file called product model.dat. Okay, create a file called product model.dat, right? So this file is going to be an abstract class product model, and then we also need a constructor which is going to be of type factory. And then we need a title, our product title. We need an image. And then a description. And then we need the product price. So the price is of type double. It must not be a string. It must be of type double. And then we have another for the old price, right, which is going to be of type double also. And then we also have a product ID, which is of type string. Product ID, right? And then we need to set our product model to underscore product model. So the good thing about creating model classes using freezed is that it allows you to create like immutable classes. So it's going to be product model dot from JSON, and then our data type for JSON is going to be of map string dynamic, and then JSON, and then underscore product model from JSON, and then JSON. Okay, like this. And then okay, like this. And then what we need to do is we need to import we need import for the freezed package, right? Import for the freezed package. So we need import for the freezed annotation, and then we also need this part which is going to be underscore product model. Just make sure that this file name is similar to this file name that you created here. Right, now what we need to do is we need to run the flutter pub build command, right? So we need to run this command, flutter pub run build runner build delete conflicting outputs, right? This will now generate our freezed files for our product model. So I think there's something wrong with our product model. Okay, with product model, factory product model. Just go to underscore product model. Okay, let's try to run it again. Okay, the reason why it's not working is we need to annotate with freezed, right? As you can see now, we now have the product model.freeze.dat and product model.g.dat, right? So now, before we go forward, we need to handle something, right? List, which is going to be product model product from JSON. Since we are going to be getting a list of products, right? It's going to be a dynamic string. And then it's going to be product model dot from JSON, and then which is equal to of type list product model. Map, and then E, and then we are just going to return a product model from JSON, and then we'll pass in. Okay, so now we have created our product model, right? But yet we are not yet done with the product model, right? So what we need to do is we need to go into our app config right here. So inside our app config, that's where we have like URLs for our API. So we need to create a URL for the product's URL. Which is going to be API / and then products, like this. And then now for the images, since we are getting images from the database, the problem is that with images, you need to make sure that the images come from HTTP, right? It must be an HTTP request. If we don't use an HTTP request like we are doing with other products, we'll get an error. So what we need to do is we need to create an HTTP, which is going to be HTTP and then 127.0.0.1.4000, like this. And then yeah, like this, right? So if we go back into our product model, right, what we need to do is we need to create an extension for image, because this image is going to come from from API.products, but we need to create an extension so that we'll be using the HTTP, right? So to create an extension, what we'll just do is create an extension, right? Product extension, I'll just call it ext on product model, because we want to create an extension on product model, right? So this extension is going to get a string of type get, and then we need a full image path. And then we are going to point to app config dot full image URL plus the image, right? Plus the image, which is of type what? Of type nullable, right? So this extension must be outside our product model class here, right? So now that we have taken care of this, now let's move inside our product repository, right? Let's go back inside our product repository, right? So here I was talking to, if we have a either, if we have a failure, we're going to display that failure, and then if we have a success, then we must return what? We must return the product model. So and then create product, that's our method. So for us to create a product, what do we need? We need a file of image, type image, because we are going to be uploading an image. And then we need a string of type title. We need another string of type description. And then we need a double for the price. And then we need another double for the odd price. So let's import the dat.io, right? So must be an async function, right? Now what do we do? Let's create our URL, which is going to be URI.http, right? So for the HTTP, we need appconfig.base URL, right? Appconfig.base URL. If you remember, this is our base URL, right? So if you're using Android, you can use this URL at the top there, right? Base URL, and then appconfig.products URL, like this, right? So this is our URL. And then now we need to create a request. Now to create a request, what's happening is that we are uploading files to our server. So when you're uploading files to our server, we need an HTTP multi-part request, right? So a multi-part request allows us to send multiple requests to our HTTP server. And then as you can see from here, http.multi-part request from path and then what we need first is the method, right? So the method in this case is going to be a post request, since we are sending this data to our database, right? We are creating this product to our database. It's going to be a post request, and then we need to pass the URI. So to pass the URI, we'll use the URI.pass, and then we'll pass our URL.toString, like this. Okay. Now the next thing that we need to do is we need to add to our request. We need to add the files that we are uploading, right? So files.add. So we need to await, until the files is uploaded. So we'll await http.multiple-part file, and then from path multiple-path file, and then since we are getting this from path, right, we need to use from path, like this, and then we need to specify that it's going to be an image, and then it's going to be image.path. This is the path of the image that we are going to write, like this, right? So we have added the image, and then we also, using our multiple part request, our HTTP multiple part request, what we are going to add is we are going to add other fields, right? So the field that we want to is the title. We have the title here, which is equal to what? Which is equal to title. The title, like this, right? We have other fields that we are going to be sending to our server. So these fields are going to be description, which is equal to description, and then we are also going to send the price, which is going to be price.toString. We're also going to be sending the old price, which is going to be old price.toString. Okay, like this, right? And then after we have done this, we need now a try-catch block. So inside our try-catch block, we need a stream response, which is equal to, this string response, we are going to await our request.send. So this expression is just for sending this data to our what? To our API. And then we need a response. So our response is going to be await http.response http.response.fromStream from stream, and then it's going to come from our stream response, right? And then the next thing is we need to get a data. So our data is going to come from JSON decode. And then we are going to decode the response.body. Response.body, like this. And then we are going to check if the response.body is equal to 200, right? If the response.body is equal to 200, or the response, if the response.body is equal to 200, that means our request to save was successful. We are going to return, we are just going to return the product model, right? Product model dot from JSON, and then we are just going to pass in the data, right? If somehow our response is not successful, right, we will just return, we'll have to return a failure, and then with the message, and then the message is going to be data going to decode from message, right? This message is going to come from our API, right? And then we are going to catch other errors that may appear. So we are going to catch exception that may appear, and then we are going to return left up failure, which is going to be e.toString, right? So that's it for our for uploading products to our to our API, right? So we created this feature, and then in future we have either from fp.dat, and then we are going to represent if we have a failure from our API, we're going to represent with a failure, and then if we have a success, we are going to return the product model, right? And then since we are sending images, we are going to be using the multi-part request, and then inside our multi-part request we specify that this is a post request, since we are creating a new product inside our API, right? And then we then create a request to our request.files, which allows us to add files to our API. And then we use the multiple part file, and then where are we going to get this image? We are going to get it from our path, and then we specify the path as image. We specify that we are going to uploading an image, and then we specify that it's going to be image.path, right? And then we also have fields that we are going to send to our API. So we use request.fields to specify the title that we are going to send, the description, the price, and then the odd price, right? And then let's take care of how we get the products from our API. So we're going to have a future, and then we are going to use either also. And then if something goes wrong with the API, we're going to retain a failure, and then otherwise we are just going to return a list of products, right? And then we are just going to get those products from our API, and then our function is going to be an async function. Our function is going to be an async function, right? Like this. And then we need a map, and then a string, and then of type string. And then we need to specify our request headers, right? Request headers, and then we need to specify content type. So our content type is going to be application/.json, right? Like this. And then we need to specify our URL, which is going to be uri.http. And then we need to specify appconfig.base URL, and then appconfig.products URL, right? And then we need to get a response from the server. So the response is going to be, we are going to await for HTTP client, then .get. So this is get method, right? What are we going to get? We are going to get the products from the URL, and then we are going to pass in the headers, which is going to be what? The request headers, like this, okay? And then we are going to get the data, which we are going to decode using the JSON decode method. And then we are going to decode it from the response.body, right? Like this. And then we are going to create a try catch block. So inside our try catch block, we are going to check if the response that we are getting from server, right? If the response.status code that we're getting from server is equals to 200. It's equals to 200. So if it's equals to 200, that means that everything went well. We are just going to return, right? We are just going to return our products model from JSON, and then we just specify the data. We just pass in the data, right? And then else, that means that there might be an error with our server, right? We are just going to return a failure, and then we just notify the user of the error from what? From our API, right? We need to notify the user of what went wrong, and then we need to catch other exceptions that might happen, right? So to catch other exceptions that might happen, we are just going to return also left, then passing up failure also, and then the message is going to be e.toString, like this, right? So now we are done with our what? We are done with getting what? Getting products from what? From our API, right? So I think I forgot another. So here what we are doing is we are specifying a future, because we don't know when we are going to return what the data from the server. And then we use the either from fp.dat package, right, which returns left if we have an error, and then right if we have a success. Because when we are getting data from our server, we have two states. It's either we are getting a success or we are getting an error, right? Now we create a request headers, right? We make sure that the content type that we are sending, that we are getting from our API is of type application JSON, right? We then create a URL using the uri.http. We specify our base URL and our products URL. We then get a response from the server by awaiting our client, and then we use the get method that we use to get data from our API. We specify the URL and then specify the headers. Now we are getting the data from our what? From decoding our response.body, right? And then we now use a try catch block and then we have an if statement. We are going to check if our response.status code is equals to 200. If it's equals to 200, we are going to return a success, and then a product, all our products from what? From our API. Else, if we have an error, we are just going to display this message from what? From our API. If we have another exception, we are going to display this exception from what? From our API, right? So the next step that we are going to do is we need to update our product. So to update our product, it's similar to what? to creating our product, we just need to make a few changes. So just copy this update method, right? Just copy this update method and then just paste it below the get products method, right? So now what we need to do is we just need to change this to update product, right? And then instead of post request, we change this to put, right? And then inside this var URL, we need to make sure that we change this URL to to plus, and then we need to make sure that we add we add the product ID. And then let's add the product ID as a string here. And then the product ID, since we need to specify the product ID first to make like the changes to our product ID, right? So this is how we do it, and then everything else is similar, so we just leave it like that, right? And then the last method that we are going to be using is the delete method, right? So to use the delete method, what we are just going to do is to use the delete method. What we are going to do is we need to use the delete method. What we are going to do is just copy the get products method. So just copy the get products method, right? Copy it. Let's copy it. Let's paste it below. And then let's change it to delete product, and then let's change this to product model like this, right? So this method, I think this method we are just going to call it void. And then we are just going to call it void delete product, and then we need a string of type product ID. And then here we just specify plus product ID, and then let Flutter replace it with interpolation, right? And then here what we need to do is okay, so I think here what we need to do is we just need to return either, and then up failure if there is a failure here. And then I think we can return void if there is a success, because we don't need to return the product model, because if it's deleted then it won't return anything. So we just use void here, right? And then yeah, that's it for the, and then we need to get product by ID. So to get product by ID, now what we need to do here, we need to change this from get to delete. And then to get the product by ID, let's just copy this method here, and then we'll just modify it. And then here we'll just change this to get product by ID. And then this one need to return a product model, right? A product model, and then it's supposed to be get. And then let's change this to product model from JSON. Product model dot from JSON. It's going to be our data right here. So that's it now for our repository. Now we need to move into our product controller, and then we make sure we handle the product controller, and then we move on to the user interface. So now we are moving on to our product controller, right? So before we move on to our product controller, let's just make sure that we create a product repository provider. Product repository provider, which is equal to provider. Then we are just going to provide a reference, and then we are just going to put a product repository, right? And then for client, what we need to just watch. Okay, I think this is caused because we haven't imported flutter riverpod. So let's make sure we import flutter riverpod, right? And then it's going to be reference.watch HTTP provider. Yeah, let's provide the HTTP provider, right, like this. Okay. Okay, so now we are done with our product repository. So let's go inside our controller folder. Let's create a product controller. Product controller .dat. Okay, so inside our product controller we need to create a class, product controller. This class is going to extend, the async notifier. And then it's going to take in an async value. It's going to return an async value, which is going to retain void, right? So now let's import flutter riverpod. Okay, so now what we are going to do is we are going to provide a build, which is going to return async value of type void, and then we need to override this build method, right? It's a build method. So we need to override this build method. We need to override this build method, right? So before we even override this build method, let's create, let's initialize the product repository. Product repository, right? So this product repository, we are going to initialize it inside our build method, which is going to be reference.watch. We are going to watch our product repository, right? And then this function is just going to return an async value.data, and then our data is just going to be null. Then let's make sure that we put a constant here, right? Now that we are done with the async, now let's start the process of creating methods for creating our product. And then we need to create product. Create product. What do we need? We need an image. We need a string of type title. Also need a string of type description. Then we need a double type place. and then we need another double of type old price, right? And then we also need a build context. Context, right? So let's import dat.io. So this method is going to be an asynchronous method. Now what we need is we are just going to create a variable final for response, which is going to be await product repository dot create product, right? And then we need to take care of a couple of things, right? Then we create a final value, and then a switch function, which is going to take in our response, right? So this response is going to have like two states. We have the left, that means if we are getting an error from our API. And then if we're getting an error, what we want to do is we want to show a snack bar. And then the message is going to be l.message. If it's a success, then a value, final error, and then we need to show a snack bar. And then here it's going to be error dot toString, like this. Okay, all right. So this is also similar to update method. So let's just copy this. Let's just paste it below. And then let's change it to update product. And then here we just need to change it to update. Update product. Yeah, everything else is similar. Now we go on to get product by ID. So future of type void, and then get product by ID. So the ID is going to be of type string, which is going to be product ID, and then we provide an async like this. And then we also need a build context, right? We need a build context, and then it's going to be context. Like this. Okay, now what we need to do is now response is equals to await product repository dot delete, and then we're going to use a switch statement, and then we're going to provide a response, right? And then we are going to return left. We provide a value, final L, and then we are going to show a snack bar. There is an error. And then if there is no error, what we are going to do is we're going to just return right. The value we're going to do is going to be final error. to string. What's happening in the expression? The void soaking it. Also, we are just going to return error since error is a void of type void, right? Now we need to handle also the delete method, right? Delete product by ID. So let me just here and then delete product by ID. Also, we used so here we need on your object product, you need we forgot to add a string product ID. Product ID. So let's pass it here. Product ID. Okay. So here we used get products by ID. We use the delete function instead of get products by ID, like this, right? So here delete product by ID. Now we have the delete product by ID, get product by ID, and then the last function that we need is the get products. So this one is going to be a feature of type list, a list of products. We use our product model, right? Product model, and then get products. Get products like this. It's going to be an async function, and our response is goes to await product repository dot get products, and then we are just going to return a switch response, and then left value final L, and then we are just going to throw the error message. Otherwise, what we're just going to do is we're just going to return the product from the product model like this. Okay, now that we are done with this, we're done with our product controller model, right? So now what we need to do is we need to now take care of the products controller. So we're going to say product controller provider is equal to async notifier it's supposed to be async notifier provider is going to be product controller, and then async value, which is going to return void, and then it's just going to return the products controller.new. Right. Now we need to take care of future providers. So future provider that we have is get products. So get products provider is equal to, is going to be of type future provider. And then we need to provide the reference, and then inside here we are going to get the products. The products, we are going to get them from reference.watch products controller provider.notifier, right? And then we are just going to return products .get products, right? So we're getting these products from our product controller, right? So in this products controller, what we did is we created a product controller class that extends the async notifier, right? And then which takes in an async value which is of type void. So if you know, with the new riverpod, we use the build function, right? Instead of like making a constructor, our build function is going to be of async value of void. Inside our build function, we then set our product repository to our product repository provider that we got from product repository class, right? We then return the async value.data, which is of type now, since we have a void, right? Now we have created this future method for creating products, right? Which is going to just await the product repository, and then we create our product. And then if we have an error, we're going to show a snake bar with an error. And then if we have a success, we are going to display the message to the user, right? The same that we did with our update product, right? It's the same as the create product. And then with the get products by ID, we are just going to await the product repository.get products by ID, right? If there's an error, we're going to show that error. Otherwise, we are just going to return the product. In this case, it's going to be now, since if the product is deleted, we cannot return it. So it's going to be of type void, right? And then this is the get products by ID, right? So it will return the product. With the delete product by ID, we are just going to await the product repository, and then we delete products, right? If we have an error, we're going to display that error. If it's a success, we are going to just return that we are going to return a void, since the deleted product won't be returned because it will be deleted, right? And then we are going to get the products. With the get products, we are going to await product repository.get products, and then we use a switch statement for our response. Since our response has two states, since our response is of type up failure, and it's going to return an up failure and a list of product, right? That's why we use a switch statement, and then we provide left. If we have an error, we're going to throw that error. If we have a success, we are going to return the list of products. As you can see, R is of type list of products, and then L, you can see L is of type of up failure, right? So that's it for our product controller. So now let's move on to creating the user interface for our application. Okay guys, now we are moving on to creating our user interface. Now we are done with the product controller and the product repository. So let me just make sure that I close the files, right? And then let's create another folder called widgets, right? So inside this widget folder, I'm going to create another called product card.dat, right? So the user interface that we are going to create is we are going to create this user interface right here, right? So now it's going to be a stateless widget of type product card. then we need to make sure that it takes in the product model, then product. So let's get rid of this constant, right? Then we need to pass it as a parameter to our constructor, which is going to be required this dot product, like this. Okay, now we are just going to return a card, right? So let's return a card, and then the child is going to be a column, and then we are going to provide the children inside the card. So I need to provide image.metric, and then product.full image path, right, like this. And then let's give it a height. Let's give our image a height of 180, and then a width of 180, and then fit. And it's supposed to be box fit.fill. Okay, like this. And then we need to provide the next, we need to display text. So now our text is going to be product.title. Okay, and then let's style it. Provide text style, and then let's give it a font size of 10. Font size of 10, and then let's also give it like a font weight. Font weight .w500, like this, right? And then let's just, and then also need a padding, because we are just going to display the price, right? So we need a row, and then children. Then let's make sure that the main axis alignment is main axis alignment dot space between. Then it's going to be main axis alignment dot space between, like this, right? Okay. And then text. Then we're just going to product dot price to string, and then we need to style it, text style. Then the color is going to be colors. We are going to use a black color, and then font size goes to 18. And font weight, this goes to font weight dot bold, like this, right? And let's copy this, and let's change it to colors dot green. And let's change it to W600. This one also, let's change to W600. And then we also need a decoration. So the decoration is going to be text decoration dot line through. Okay, like this, right? So that's it for our product card, right? But we also, if you check from our user interface, we also need this delete icon, right? So to put this delete icon, we are simply going, I'm simply going to wrap this with a column, and then I'm going to change this to a stack widget. right, with the stack widget. Now below our card here, what we are going to do is we need a positioned widget, and then the top, from the top, want 0 pixels from the top, and then from the right we also need 0 pixels, right? And then our child here is going to be a container, right? So this container now is going to, we are going to provide decoration, box decoration, and then we need a shape. The shape is going to be box shape dot circle, right? And then we also need a color, which is going to be colors dot black. Okay, like this. And then I repeat the constant. The height of the container is going to be 40. The width is going to be also 40. Width is going to be also 40, like this, right? And then we need to provide the child for the container. So the child for the container is going to be an icon. So this icon is going to be a delete icon, like this, right? Size, we are going to provide size of 30, and then color, the color of the icon is going to be colors.white, like this. Now that we are done, let's wrap this with a constant right here, right? And then what we need to do is with this, right, we need to wrap this, padding, right? So let's put padding here, padding across the container, padding, and then we need to wrap this padding with the gesture detector, right? So let's wrap it with the gesture detector. And then on tape, or the on tape function, right, what we need to do is so now we need to modify our stateless widget. So let's just get rid of this stateless, and then we just use consumer widget. Because now what we want to do is we want to consume riverpod providers, right? And then we just need to provide a widget reference. So this will allow us to read or watch providers, right? So inside our position widget, what we simply need to do is ref.read. Now we're going to read products controller provider dot notifier, right? Dot notifier, and then dot delete products by ID, and then product dot product ID. We're going to specify the product dot product ID, and then we have the context here. Okay, so now we are done with this product card. Now we need to move on to our product screen, right? Now we need to move on to our home screen, right? To our home screen. So inside our home screen, what we simply need to do is let's get rid of this elevated button and then this center widget here inside our body. Let's get rid of this. And then what we need here is we need to modify a consumer widget. Okay, we already have that. And then what we need is we need to get our products, find our products is going to be equal to reference.watch watch. So we are going to watch get products provider, right? We are going to watch the get products provider, right? And then for our scaffold, we have a floating action bar, floating action button on pressed, and then we need a child for this floating action button, right? So the child is going to be an icon, and then it's going to be icons dot edit like this, right? Then provide a constant, right, like this. And then we also need an up bar, and then we need a auto imply leading this goes to false, and then we also need a title. So the title is going to be a constant of type text, and then text is going to be products, and then we are just going to style it with our text style, right? And then font size, our font size is equal to 18, and then give me a font weight of bold. Okay, now that we are done for our body, now what we need to do is we're going to say products dot when, right? So here when we get our data, we're going to pass in the data as the argument like this, and then we need to provide an error and then stack trace, an error and a stack trace like this, which is going to return an error. So we should have an error under utils. So under utils, let's create an error text. Error text. Do that. So it's going to be a stateless widget like this, right? And then it's going to be error text, and then it's going to take in a string of type error. Let's get rid of this constant like this, and then let's return center, and then a child of type text, which is going to take in the error like this. And then we also need a loader, loader.dat, stateless widget also. Then I'm just going to call it a loader. So this loader is just going to return center child secular progress indicator like this. All right, now we are good to go. Let's go back to our home screen. So here, if we have an error, we're going to display it inside our error text, then which is going to be an error.toString. For the loader, we just want to return a loader, which is going to display a secular progress indicator, right? Like this. Okay. Now here we need to return a refresh indicator, right? So for the refresh indicator to work, right, what I'm just going to do is we need to provide on refresh, right? So on refresh, what we are just going to do is we are just going to return reference dot refresh. So this is going to refresh our data from our products dot future, from our get products provider, right, dot future. Yeah, it's going to refresh that way. Then what else do we need is we need a child. So for this child, what we need to return is a grid view dot builder, right? Grid view dot builder, and then we need a sliver with fixed cross axis count, right? The cross axis count is going to be 2. It's going to be fixed to 2. We need a cross axis spacing is 2, and then the child aspect ratio is going to be 2/3, right? And then going to wrap this with a constant like this, right? Wrap it with a constant like this, and then for the item builder now, the item builder is going to take in a context and an index. Context, index, like this. And then it's going to return a gesture detector, right? And this gesture detector, right, what we are just going to return is on tap, which we are going to handle that later. On tap, then a child. The child is going to be the product card. The product card, and then the product card is going to take in the data and then index like this, right? So now that we are done with this, now let's save, and then let's try to run it on our emulator and let's see if we are getting any results. Okay guys, now that our emulator is running, we can check and see the results. So as you can see, we are having a range error, right? So this range error is due to the fact that we didn't specify the item length inside our grid view, right? So you need to specify the item count. The item count is supposed to data.length, right? So now if I refresh our application, now you can see that it's appearing, but now you can see that the image is not appearing, right? The reason why the image is not appearing is that if you go into our backend, right, inside our backend that we created last time, you should make sure that we are using static files, right? So we should make sure that we put a middleware to tell our backend that we are using this uploads, right? Uploads as a static file, and then we just tell it that we are going to be using express.static, right? And then inside the static, we are just going to use uploads, right? Uploads like this. So now once we do this, if I refresh now our mobile, if we refresh now our mobile application, you should see that our image must be displayed, right? Let's see what's causing that. Okay, so let's just stop and then let's run it again. Like, let's run the emulator again. So we are still getting some error. Let me check with our backend what's going on. Okay, so I think what we need to do is inside our backend, like, let's try to, we have the uploads folder, uploads, it's uploads, express.static uploads, right? So we are running on port 4000 course. So let me try to rerun our server. Right now our server is running again. Then let's try to reload our application, right? As you can see, I think we are still getting an error, but we are not getting our image, right? Okay, let's see what's the problem with loading images. It's saying uploads is not found image provider. So let's go inside our product card. It's supposed to be full image path, iPhone 16 plus.jpg, right? Then let's go into our app config. Then it's supposed to be 127.0.0.1 4000/ then plus our image. So now everything is correct. Now what I don't know is why we are still getting this. So let's try to just delete it. And then if we refresh, you can see that we no longer have this product because we have deleted it, right? So now what I'm going to do is we are going to move on to the add screen, right? Because now we want to add our products. Add screen dot like this. So this is going to be a stateful widget because we are going to be using add screen. It's supposed to be add product. Add product. Add product like this. Add product. Now what we need here inside this file is we need an image file. Now label image. We also need a title, which we are going to get from our text editing controller. And then we need a description, which we are going to get from our text editing controller. We also need the price, which we are going also to get from our text editing controller. And then we also need an old price. And then we need a global key for our form key. Which is going to be a global key, right? And then we need to dispose these. We need to dispose these controllers if they are no longer in use, right? So we just dispose title.dispose, description.dispose, and then price.dispose, and then also the old price.dispose. Okay, and then we are going to create a method for picking up the image from our memory phone, right? Async. Then we are going to use a try catch block, and then final image is equals to await. And then we are going to use an image picker. Image picker. So image picker, it's a library. Image picker library. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say flutter pub add image picker. Okay, now we have added image picker inside our pubspec.yaml file. Okay, let's import it. And then image picker, and then we are going to pick the image. The source is going to be our gallery. And then image quality, let's just put it at 20. And then we are going to check if the image is equals to null. So if the image is equals to null, we are just going to just return. Right, if the image is not equal to now we are going to store it into our temporary variable, right, which is of type file, and then we are going to provide image.path of the image, right? So let's just import dat.io, right? And then we need to set state, right? So to set our state, we are going to say this.image is equals to the image above, right? And then we need to make sure that we catch some exception on platform exception, right? We are going to catch an exception E, and then we just throw failed to pick image. Failed to pick image, like this. Okay, so now we are done with pick image, right? Now we need to move on to our UI, right? So now we just need to use consumer here, consumer stateful widget. Then let's import flutter riverpod. Then make sure that this is a consumer state, and then also this is also a consumer state. Right? Now once we are done with this, inside our build method, I'm going to say final add products is equal to reference.read, and then ProductController provider.notify, right? And then we are just going to leave it like this, and then let's return, we are going to return a scaffold within a bar, and then a bar is going to have a title. It's going to be add product. We are going to give it like a style, which is text style. We give it a font size of 20. And then a color, the color is going to be black. And then the other thing that we provide is the font weight, which is equal to font weight to bold. And let's just make sure that this is a constant, right? And then now we have a body. So now for the body, it's going to be a single child scroll view, and then the child of the single child scroll view is going to be a form, and then our form is going to take in a key or form key, right? And then the child is going to be a column. And then we are just going to provide children inside this column, right? And then we are going to have another column, right? So this column is going to have children, and then we are going to have center widget, right? Center widget, and then the child of this center widget, and then we are just going to check if image is not equal to null. So that if the image is not equal to null, we are just going to display image.file, right? Image.file, and then we are just going to provide the image file. Then we give it a height of 150, and then a width of 150, like this. Otherwise, if this image is equal to null, what we are going to do is we are going to use image.asset. So we're going to say assets, and then icons, and then Now I'm just going to grab a file from my downloads, right? An image file from my downloads. So I'm just going to grab this one. I'm just going to copy this one. And then let's go back to our, and inside our root folder, right? Inside our root folder, we need to create assets, right? Inside our assets, we need to create a folder called icons, like this, right? And then in our pubspec.yaml, let's go and then let's change this to assets. Then below this, we are just going to say assets / icons dot, like this, right? And then inside our icons folder, we need to review it in Finder. So review in Finder, icons, let's paste the icon. So I'm just going to rename it to image icon, image icon.png, right? Let's go back to our Flutter project, and then I'm just going to say image icon.png, like this. Let's give it also a height of 150 and also a width of 150. All right, so we are done with the image part, right? But for the image part now, we need also to let's wrap this center widget, right? Let's wrap this image file, right, with a gesture detector. So let's wrap it with the widget. The widget is going to be gesture detector. And then on tap, when we tap, what we want to do is we want to pick our image from memory, like this. Right, now we are done with this part. Then let's make sure that we put a semicolon below. We are done with the image part, right? Let's move on to, and then I think we are not yet done yet. Slightly below this center widget, what we need is that we just need to display text. And this text is going to be pick product image. And then the style is going to be a text style. Font size is going to be 20, and then the font weight is going to be font weight dot bold. Okay, like this, right? Now we're done with this. Let's move on to our text form field. So I'm just going to use a text form field, and then the first thing is we need a keyboard type, which is going to be text input type dot text, right, like this. And then the next thing that we need is on changed. So inside our onChanged, what we need to do is we need to text in a value. And then we are just going to say title.text is equal to value, right, like this. And then we need to decorate it. So decoration, input decoration, inside our input decoration is going to take in a border. Output input border, and then border radius is going to be border radius dot circular 2, like this. And then we also need a hint text. So the hint text is going to be a text. Okay, it doesn't take in, let's just say product title. And then the next thing is we need to validate our validator. It's going to take in a value. And then inside our validator, what we are going to check? We are going to check if the value is empty. Then we're going to return. Project title cannot be empty. This, and then we are just going to return null. Okay, like this, and then we need to apply padding to this, and then we need also to make sure that we have a controller our controller is going to be title. And then let's repeat with the padding widget. Let's copy this. Let's paste it below. Let's change this to description. Description. Product description, and then product description. Let's paste it below again. Let's change it to price. And then price.text. Product price. And then product price also. And then let's paste it below, and then now we need to change it to old price. Old price. Now we are done with this. Now what we need to do is we need to create an elevated button, right? So below this padding, we are just going to create a sized box of width 300, and then a height of 60. And then the child is going to be elevated button. Okay, now on the elevated button we need an onPressed method. So when this is pressed, what we're going to do is add products dot create products, and then the image is going to be our image label. Then the title dot text. Also I have description dot text. And then double dot pass here, and then price dot text, and then here also we need a double dot pass, is now the child is going to be upload product. Upload product. Okay. Make sure it's a constant, and then we need to style this button. So let's style it. And then we're going to style it on elevated button dot style from. Right, and then the background color is going to be colors.black, like this. Okay, now that we are done with this, method. Now what we need to do is, let's go inside our product card. So inside our product card, what to make sure is let's go to our product screen, home screen, right? Inside our floating action button, what we want to do is navigator dot push, and then the route is going to come from material page route, and then our builder is going to take in a context as a parameter, and then we are just going to return our add products page, add product screen, like this. And then let's make sure that it's a constant. All right, so now let's reload, and then let's try to add a product. Okay, so before we do that, if you're using iOS, right, you need to make sure that inside your info.plist, if you go into our iOS folder, there are some permissions that you must add, right? There's a permission that you must add to access the camera. So what we do is, let's go inside our iOS folder, runner, and then info.plist right here, and then below this true, we need to just paste in this key ns library usage with a string photo library access warning, right? So that it gives the user some sort of like ask the user some sort of permission, like, right? So somehow it's not. Okay, so let's go back inside our add screen. I think I made a typo somewhere. Inside this gesture detector. Okay, so I see what mistake I made here. So let's remove this widget, right? And then let's wrap this image is equals to now, or this item with a widget, right? And then this widget is going to be a gesture detector. Okay, now on tape, and then we'll pick image. We just need to pick image, right, like this, right? So let me reload. Let's see. So somehow the pick image is not working. I don't know why. Let's see. And then extension failed to pick image. So it might be an exception with our image picker. Let's see if I made a mistake. If I know image is equals to await image picker dot pick image dot source is equals to gallery image quality. If image is equals to now return image temporary is equals to set this dot image is equals to image temporary. Okay, everything is okay, but I think it's because I think we need to stop and rerun our emulator again. And okay, so I have restarted the application, so let's see. Okay, now we can allow full access, right? Then we can pick this image, and then we are going to say Xbox. Product description. Let me just grab some dummy text from Lorem Ipsum. So let me just paste in some dummy text here. Allow paste, and then the price, let's just say $900. Old price, let's just say 1,200, and then let's upload the product. And then it's saying that we are missing a field. So it's saying that we are missing a field. So let's go back to our product model. Let's check which field are we missing. So now what I'll do is, let me just restart the server, and then let's go to our Flutter project. It might be a typo inside our its screen, right? So all our fields here, it's going old price to text, old price, and then price to text. Description, and then title. Then everything is there. Everything is there. So let's restart and let's see. Xbox. For the description, 900, and then let's just say 1,200. Then let's upload it, saying you have a missing field. Let's see which field are we missing here. Okay, so let's go back to our product controller. I think I know what's going on. Is that our product controller, right? Is that our create? We should remove is available. Remove this one. Is available, right? So let's just remove it and just leave it like that. That's why we are getting that error, because we don't necessarily need is available. So now let's try again. Product created successfully. Now our product has been created successfully. If we reload, you can see now we have our product. But now we have a problem whereby we are not getting the product image. That's the thing that I must fix, right? So inside, I need to check our backend, because the problem might be with our Node.js. So let's go inside our backend here, and then inside the server.js, we already specify the static app.use express.static. Okay, so what might be the problem? We need body parser, express. We need extended URL is equals to true. Express.json is equals to true. Uploads. Okay, so I think this static method must be run before our products, right? So let's try to refresh. So let's try to then npm start, and then let's try to refresh. Okay, so now I need to know why are we not uploads. This is our uploads folder, express.static uploads. Now everything is okay. So let's see the error. What error are we getting from this? What error are we getting from the images? It's saying that image provider network http dot 6000 image key network image. It's not being found, I think. Okay, so let me check. Image.network. So let's go back. The product card. Image.network for image path, which is correct. Feedbox.view. Now what's going on? Image http.image scale 10. So why are we not getting any? There must be a fault with this. Okay, so I managed to locate the error. The error was caused by the fact that the URL to the server was wrong. So this is supposed to be the URL http semicolon / 127.0.0.1 4000 and then //. Okay, so if you don't put this URL correctly, this URL will end up, the image network will not be able to locate the URL, right? So if I reload our project, you can see that we have the image. It's now being displayed, right? So we can try also to add another image. So let's add another image. Let's add another product. And then product description, let me just grab some dummy text from lorem ipsum. And then the product price is going to be 1,200. So let's get rid of the text. I don't know why it's failing to, I'm not able to input the data. Okay, so let's select the image. So let's just call it MacBook Pro M1. And then for the product description, I'm just going to grab like a dummy text from lorem ipsum. And then I'm going to allow, and then the product price is going to be 1,200. That's new price. And then the old price, let's just say 1,350. Now, if I click upload, you can see that our product has been created successfully, but it's not appearing here. So what we need to do is we need to pull so that our refresh indicator, now you can see now we now have another product. So let's add another one. Okay. iPhone 16 Pro Max. And then let's grab some description again from Lorem Ipsum. And then 1,400. And then old price is going to be 1,500. Okay, let's upload it. And then let's pull our refresh indicator. You can see that our product is up here. And then if you want to delete the product, you can simply delete the delete icon, right? And then if we refresh, you can clearly see that that product is no longer up here, right? So now for us to, we need to move on to the product details, right? So let's work on the product details. So now let's work on the product details. So let's work on the product details screen, right? So on the product card, on the so we have our home screen, right, like this. So inside our home screen, what we need to do is on our grid view, right, on our grid view, we need a gesture detector. So this gesture detector is going to lead us to the what? This gesture detector is going to lead us to the product details page, right? Then it's going to be navigator, dot push, and then we are going to provide the material page route. The material page route, and then for the builder, we're going to take in the context. Then the context should retain our product details screen. Our product details screen. Now let's create the product details screen. And then it's going to be a stateless widget. Product details screen, like this. Okay, so let's go back inside our home screen. Let's import the product details screen. Right, now we need to pass in some arguments here. So we need to pass in the settings, which is going to be route settings. Route settings, and then the arguments, we are going to just pass in the data and then the index. The data and then the index, right, like this. Okay, now what we need to do is, now we need to move into our product details screen, and then let's work on it. So inside our product details screen, we need to return a scaffold widget. The scaffold is going to take in an up bar, and then an up bar, and then we need a title, and then type text. And then the title is going to be of product details. And then style, textile. And then we're going to provide a color, which is going to be black. And then font size of 18. And then font weight of bold. Okay, so let's wrap this with the constant widget. Let's make sure that it's a constant, right? And then another thing that we need to do is we need a body, and then a safe area, and then the child is going to be a single child score view, and then we are going to have a column. Right, we are going to have a column, and then main axis alignment, and then for the main axis alignment we are going to have main axis alignment dot start. The cross axis alignment we are going to have cross axis alignment dot start also. And then for the children, what we need to do is we need an image.network. Image.network. So our network. So I forgot inside our build folder, right? We need to get the arguments that we put inside our route settings, right? So I'm just going to call them a product, and then it's going to be modal route dot of context, modal route dot of context settings dot arguments, since we are getting from the arguments as product model. Alright, so inside our image network, what we need to do is we need to product dot full image path like this, and then let's give it a height of 200, and then let's also give it a width. Want it to fill the whole width, so we are going to use double dot infinite. And then the next thing is the next thing that we need is a divider. So we need to use a divider. Thickness is going to be 1, and then the color is going to be black. The black like this. So if we reload our application and then we click on there, you can clearly see now we have this divider now, but let's add some padding because we don't want the divider line to be touching the end of this. And then you can see now we have some padding, and then let's wrap it with a constant right here. And then the next thing now that we are going to do is we need to display the title, right? So it's going to be text, and then it's going to be product.title, and then a style, and then it's going to be text style. The color is going to be colors.black. Colors.black, and then font size 20. Then font weight is going to be font weight.bold. Font weight bold, like this. Alright, so if we hold reload, you can see now it's arguing this, so we need to just wrap it with padding widget like this. Now we have this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this divider and the text below, and then I'm just going to paste it below this, and then we are going to change the product.description, product.type to description, and then we change the font size to 15. And then we change the weight to W400. Like this, okay. And then let's copy the divider above, this divider above right here, and let's paste it below. Now what we need to do is we need a raw widget, children. Then we will need a space between the children, so we are going to use main axis alignment dot space between, like this, right? And then let's wrap this raw widget with a padding. Right, now we need some text. So the text is going to be product dot price dot toString. Then we need to provide a text style, color, which is going to be colors.black, and then a font size of 18. And then we need a font weight. And then the font weight is font weight to W600, right? And then let's make sure that on the styling we just put this constant, and then let's copy this and let's paste it. And then now we need to change this to odd price. And then so I need the odd price to be cancelled, so I'm going to use a decoration, which is going to be text decoration dot length, like this, right? So now if we hot reload our application, now you can clearly see now we now have the product details, right? Product details, clearly see our product details right here. So that was it, guys, for today. We are left with editing the products. So that one I will make another video. That will be a video for another day, because this video is getting too long. So I'm just going to split it into another video whereby we'll edit the product using a put request, right? Thanks for watching, guys. Cheers. So make sure you click on the like and then the subscribe button so that you don't miss any of my videos.